Today on the Trucker Dot channel, Trucking with Trucker Dot, we're gonna talk about the importance of trip planning. Stay tuned. Welcome to the Trucking with Trucker Dot series. For those of you that are just now joining, this is a series where we talk about trucking, what you need to know in trucking to be successful. This week's episode is going to be about, as the intro stated, the importance of trip planning. So the importance of trip planning: you don't want to show up to a place too early, just in case they don't take you for whatever reason, and you don't want to show up late at all. That affects your bonuses, anything like that. So with the importance of trip planning, you can plan your trip accordingly. Like the current trip I'm on, I was only 6 hours away from my destination that delivers in 2 days. So I picked up yesterday at 8 p.m. It doesn't deliver until 2 days later, which would be Thursday at 7 a.m. So if you've done your trip planning with just the miles, you already know that, I'm only going 460 miles. So that's only gonna take about 8 hours to go ahead and complete. If you do your miles divided by, we set it at 50 just in case, 50 miles per hour. It's gonna take about 8 hours, 8.5 hours to go ahead and complete that drive. Okay. Now to go further into it, knowing that it doesn't deliver, that's just one day's driving, pretty much. So going further into the trip planning aspect of it, we know that it doesn't deliver until 2 days from now at 7 a.m. If I can get you some more. So yeah, it doesn't deliver for 2 days from now at 7 a.m. So what I did, I took my trip, I got my load, I went ahead and I completed just over half of the trip that first day, right? So I completed 4 hours of driving, which, is about 220 miles, something like that. Actually, I can do it right now. It's 205 miles. That's how much I've driven on this current load. Actually, it's more than that. 225. About 260 miles that I completed in the 2 days. All right, so what I did yesterday, I drove 2 hours yesterday, did my 10-hour break. I drove another 2 hours today, and I'm currently on my 10-hour break. But what I'm actually going to do, so I'm not stuck anywhere near the shipper, I've already checked my destination. The nearest rest stop is going to be about 100 miles from my destination. Nearest truck stop is going to be about 100 miles from my destination. I'm only 300 miles away from where I need to be at this current truck stop. So I decided to stay here. What I'm going to do to make my appointment time, which I set for 5 a.m. Yeah, I know I deliver at 6 a.m., but I set it for 5 a.m. because you never know what could happen. It could be traffic, anything like that. All right. It's going to take me about 3 hours and 30 minutes to get from where I am to my destination. So what I am going to do, I am going to stay here at my current destination at this truck stop, this Love's, and I'm going to stay here until about 1 a.m. Right, about 1 a.m. I'm gonna stay here. And then I'm going to go ahead and go and drive. You know, I'm going to drive the 4 hours, almost 4 hours. We'll say 4 hours. I'm going to drive the 4 hours and be on my destination. You know, it's planned for 4:30. You know, about 4:30 in the morning. Again, that's not super early and that's not late at all. And that gave me time to, you know, stretch my legs after a couple hours. You always want to, a lot of people will say stay in your truck, but if you trip plan correctly, you can get out every 2 hours, stretch your legs for 10-15 minutes. You can go ahead and do that if you trip plan correctly. There's some trips where you can't do that. It's a firm date. You don't have much time to deliver, but mostly with the company I am, they give you a window to go ahead and deliver that. So I'm well within that window. I was able to take 2 10-hour breaks, actually get a 16-hour break as well. But looking back at what I could have did differently, I could have, one, stayed at my pickup because I picked up at the terminal. I could have stayed at my pickup for 34 hours because I had already completed my 10, only had a day left to go. Could have did my 34, reset my clocks. Yeah, could have did that. But then this trip wouldn't have been on my check because our pay period's end on Wednesday. So, me being me, I went ahead and I left. But looking back at it now, I should have just did my 34, would have had a completely new 70-hour clock and still made my appointment time. I just would have had to drove. I just would have had to drive all the way through. You know what? Oh well. What I end up doing works out in my favor as well because I was able to T-call. Our company calls it T-call. A lot of companies call it power. They can power the load. So what we do is, where I'm currently at, they T-called my load from here and then they redispatch me on the same load. That way the miles that I ran on this trip will go on my check and the rest of the miles that I have left to go will go on my next check next week. So that's what I'm doing. Yeah. So the importance of trip planning, you could plan all of these stops within your trip plan and still be able to make it on time or a little bit before. And yes, I did go ahead. I called the consignee to see if I could deliver early. They're not a 24-hour facility. They open at 6 a.m. and I had the first appointment. So, and that's another thing that's going to be in a different video. Never listen to your appointment time. Never, because they never get you in on your appointment time. Some do, but some do not. So yeah, and then after this load, I got another load picking up on the same day and delivering the next day. So that's about an 8-hour ride as well. I'm gonna ride that one out because I'm gonna do a 10-hour reset my clocks, and do it that way. So that's the importance of trip planning, is making sure that you have enough time for the stops that you want to stop and do. If you don't have enough time for the stops and do, what you're gonna do, you're gonna raise your miles per hour average, take fewer stops to get it there. That's how you would fix that situation. So let's say that, you know, I'm about 60 miles behind where I wanted to be, right? Or I'm about 2 hours behind where I wanted to be. So what I'm gonna do, instead of taking that 10-hour break there, I'm gonna drive closer to my destination and then take a 10-hour break. That's how I would fix that, you know. So you take your 10-hour break here, or I would just complete the trip, see if I could park overnight. That way I have a fresh clock when I deliver. It's up to you. But yeah, that's the importance of trip planning. I hope it helped you guys. If it didn't, let me know. I'll see what I can do to kind of explain it better. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell to let you know when a new video is coming out. Trucker Doc, trucking with Trucker Doc. Thank you guys for tuning in.